Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here, returning to you this almost afternoon time for a movie review for Damsel, the 2024 movie with Millie Bobby Brown in it. It's a Netflix movie, but I got a chance to check it out for myself to see what I was going to think of this film overall, so I'm going to discuss what I watched for the movie Damsel, the hour and 49 minutes of this movie, and let you know my thoughts on this movie overall. So let's dive into this movie review. Now, basically, with what I've seen, Elodie is her character's name, Millie Bobby Brown's character in this film, and her town is like, I believe, poor or whatever, and they're on the brink of starvation, and they're running out of supplies and money for food and everything, for food and supplies and everything for their village. And what happens is a certain place of the kingdom of Aurea takes them in and gives them hospitality, but on one condition: she has to marry Prince Henry or whatever. Elodie does. It works out for a time, but then she gets betrayed by them sacrificing her to a dragon, because there is a thing in the movie where the dragon's babies get killed, but you see that later on in the film. But pretty much the kingdom of Aurea, I believe is how you Aria or something like that. I'm not sure, but Elizabeth Banks was in this film, and she's good at playing uh, just villains some of the time. It just depends, basically. But with this film, I think this film was okay for what it went for. Not one of the worst films I've seen for Netflix, but at least had some good performances from a good performance from Millie Bobby Brown that I was actually impressed with. Maybe there were some moments in the movie where I felt she was overstepping it a bit with her acting, but I think with how it performed, she did good in its own way. With this performance, she was basically a fighter in this movie, and basically she was outlasting the dragon, basically, through the whole movie. So it was quite an interesting story, for sure. But would I say it's one of my favorite films? I kind of liked it to an extent. I didn't say I hated it, but I think it's about decent. Maybe fairly decent, at least. Not one of the best films I've seen, but slightly strong in its own way. But with the story, basically Millie Bobby Brown's family gives her up for the proposal and all that, and pretty much she gets sacrificed to a dragon that they have to sacrifice 3 daughters of their own choosing, well, of their bloodline, I guess, to make up for the dragon losing her babies and all that. So that's kind of the gist of the story. So pretty much the dragon was betrayed by the people of Aurea. Aurea, I think is how you pronounce it. But overall, I think Millie Bobby Brown's performance was pretty solid for what it went for. I might have said overstepping it in a way earlier in the review. What I meant by that was there were some moments where she had some vulnerability in this movie with her performance from time to time, and it was kind of see-through a little bit, but not in the worst way. It still made it a good performance from her. But I think execution-wise, this movie panned out decently. So if I were to give this movie its deserved score, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's a decent film. Not one of the best films I've seen this year, but fairly decent enough for a watch. Um, sure, it's very short. It's pretty simple of a story, but it's not one of the best films, like I said. There are better films that I've seen, but this one, I actually did like Millie Bobby Brown's performance in this from time to time. There were some solid points with her performance through this movie, and I think this movie didn't pan out so bad. It's not one of the best, and I see that it's gotten like negative reviews. I'm like, well, it's not that negative, but there are some critiques I have with this film. But overall, it's a decent film, so 7 out of 10 for Damsel, the 2024 movie. Check it out yourself, see what you think of it. And with that being said, thanks for watching this movie review this afternoon.